Good morning once again, and good afternoon to all who's joined us from Singapore and Malaysia. Welcome to the third webinar for this week. This would be the last for this week. First of all, let me introduce you to the presenters. We have Shobna, Ashok, and myself, Srinivas. We would like to thank all of you who've taken time off to be part of our webinar series. And thank you all who have joined us for the previous ones and be back for more in the coming week. So what is the topic for today? It is navigating an unknown crisis. This is typical, and this is something which is going to be exciting, where we're going to highlight on the new technologies and how these technologies are going to help businesses handle these unknown crises that we are all facing today. So without any further delay, I would now hand over to Ashok, who will start with a presentation and followed by our demo session. Over to you, Ashok.
Thank you, Srini. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. And so, as Srini has pointed out, there might be interruptions because of bad network or power failures. Please bear with us, and things will be up very soon. Well, for today's topic, it's navigating an unknown crisis. Usually, the best comes out of adversity. What we are trying to do today is to show you how digitally you can still do much more than what you're doing today, and also bring in a better performance improvements in terms of whatever the vertical that you belong to. So this is the topic today. How do you do an enterprise collaboration with digital tools during such a crisis, right? Before 2020, nothing changed. There were 5 things that we majorly look into, which is one is the customer expectations on how much is the customer expecting, and be it an individual or a business. Usually they expect a good, faster, and more flexible services at a very low or no cost prices. This is a common phenomena that being there, but of course we cannot do a no cost, but how much can be reduced in terms of the costing. People don't prefer any intermediaries. That's something which by and large we know everywhere, though things have been run through that. We always prefer to get direct from market as much as possible. And there are a lot of new entrants to the industry. And what it means is there is the competition keeps increasing day by day. With the level of services, how do we get better? And how do we ensure that we are better in in a relative aspect? And so to achieve all that, we need to redefine the whole collaboration, the whole model of collaboration, right from be it any vertical. Here we are only focusing on supply chain. The different stakeholders who are involved, till the IT systems, how do we make sure that the collaboration can be redefined using the latest technologies which are digitally enabled across the supply chain with the new things? So that comes in the new thing, but now there is an added feature to it, or a new dimension to all of this, is post-Jan 2020. What happens is there is the whole perspective changed, the way we think, the way we strategize, it's all changing. Conceptually, yes, all this 5 still holds good, but it is just that the way how we are going to redefine incorporating the new dimension of the social distancing, or for that matter, the essential to non-essential commodities. How do you get to do all this? And so supply chain is basically divided into 2 major things post 2020. So let's quickly look at the business models that we'll be focusing on. It is one is the manufacturing, 2 is the retail and FMC, 3 is the 3PL services, which is quite complete, right from warehousing, 3PL, logistics, kitting, packing, repacking, everything, all inclusive of it. And fourth one is the trading and e-commerce. So this predominantly has a huge impact when it comes to supply chain. And the verticals that belongs to these four are just highlighted at the peripheral over there. So how are these business models impacted? What are the challenges that we are looking at? Number one is the contract management and supplier due diligence. How do we make sure that in the modern supply chain, there is a due diligence across the organizations that are connected in terms of executing one particular contract or in that network, whatever that happens through. That's number one. And number two is the traceability of the product. We wanted to ensure that the traceability of the product is given at this place. There is no ambiguity around the product informations. And also we know that the trial of the industries are doing well. Number three is the data reconciliation processes that happens across. And we also need to bring in transparency in the business that we do. This transparency is going to not just improve in a steady state model, but also bring in that extra flavor to showcase you in a better light and bring in more additional revenue for you, right? And then comes the streamlining of the operations. So we talk about two things here. One is to improve your your customers and improve your profit, and two is you reduce your cost and still increase your profit margin. So that's the left side is mostly up towards it, where you want to streamline your whole operations, do a process automation, and bring in more improvement in terms of the efficiency, and also ensuring that the lack of connectivity is being addressed. Do we not have systems for addressing all this? Yes, there are systems, but they are all quite siloed, pretty expensive, and not easily affordable for everyone to bring in that. So that these are the challenges that are there. But how do we address all of them? We broadly classify them into two things. One is on how effective can we collaborate. Two is what are the value additions that we bring in. So by doing this, we can improve our efficiency, bring in the transparency insights, and also increase the trust among everyone. And when we talk about this, we are talking about multiple things here, collaborating among all the parties, bringing in a transparency across all, the traceability of the products, the smart contracts with insights against all the movements that happen with associated with the contract, collaboration with the team and the departments. And in terms of value additions, which is more important for the service sectors in specific, like the 3PL, trading, e-commerce, where you can develop a hub and spoke model. And the core of the hub is your service layer, where any customer that you are servicing can just come and plug in. They can just come and plug in to get all the services that you are doing today. So as on date, you might be doing a lot of logistics services. You might be doing a lot of warehouse services. Let's not stop there. We go a level up. And what you do as part of it is you provision um, a connecting model where you can connect, extract the information of your goods or your data on a real-time basis. And we also eliminate the use of a middleware, and we provision by provisioning a very simple API connectivity to connect with all the systems that will provide you a better visibility and service to your customers. So this not only just establish the trust with your customers, but it also enables them with all the necessary information on a real time, giving them in better understanding of what is happening, and also to do or draw strategies in a better manner. So this is what a digital tool can do for you. A little bit at the back end, what it all means is, a simple architecture looks like this. Anything that you see, any application that you're using today, be it your simple WhatsApp to the most complicated ERP that you're using, it is all having an user experience layer that you're doing, which is in turn at your backend, it's all orchestrated by a lot of APIs, which again on the third layer with the actual systems in place. The systems can be any legacy systems or applications or databases or FTP file servers, anything for that matter. This is predominantly how it looks like when you're doing an X-ray or a scan of what your IT structure is all about. This is the result that you can see. For people who are coming from a process background, yeah, just trying to explain that this is what you are doing. See, what we are provisioning, we are embedding all the latest technologies of artificial intelligence, IoT, blockchain, the latest digital technologies which can influence and give you a better insight and a better collaboration model and a better security model. So these are the three things which anyone is concerned about. Generally talking, people will be more curious to know as to what are they looking at, and am I compromising by moving from my traditional on-premise to moving outside? So all this are being addressed by these three digital technologies that we are going to talk about. So this brings in a perfect case for collaboration where all the low technologies or the paper-based documentations are all removed, and you are increasing the visibility for anyone from a third party to audit your whole system, to be a market leader by bringing or collaborating all the disparate instances, by getting into a consortium of all your partners together with the ability of providing a full stack capability. And this total layer is supported with blockchain and AI enabled. So this is what we will be addressing today. And the success factors automatically follows, which are you will be able to track the complete flow. All the self contracts can be self-executed and more visible, made smart with blockchain. There is a real-time connectivity and transparency across. We are able to give you product traceability. More important is quicker adoption. People can adopt really quick for such solutions where the solutions are quick to adopt and your adoption period is only 4 weeks to 6 weeks time. Nowhere that you can implement even a solution so faster. So all we are saying is a 4 to 6 weeks time, everything is implemented and up and running with necessary data insights. And this also provides an ease in the data payments, one-stop distribution network that is easy for you. As from IntelliGest, the value proposition that we provide is we are one among the pioneers in the next-gen technologies, particularly blockchain. We have launched the few blockchain-based enterprise solutions end-to-end, which supports end-to-end. So that enables us to reimagine the whole business model and quickly come up with a fulfillment solution, which is proven and also that's running up with a lot of companies. With that said, we will quickly pass on to demo one. There are two demos that we will be showcasing today. One demo is to showcase about how a smart collaboration can be done, how a smarter contract execution can be done among everyone, between a buyer and a supplier, where there is equal visibility on a permission based to one, to the parties directly involved, two, to the parties indirectly involved. So there are two ways of doing it. One is we can directly connect you with the blockchain network and provision you whatever that you want. So this gives you a very, very minimum change management, because whoever continues to work on their system, they continue. We capture it in a backend database, which is your centralized one, and we try to give the insights in a different format. This is number one. And the number two is we also have an application in case you have more stringent governance model that doesn't allow you to integrate. You can get a part of as your role to perform and get a login into the application to see your transactions that pertains to you. So that this is demo number one. After demo number one, we'll go for demo number two, which is covering all the sectors right from manufacturing to a logistics till the very end, how we can track the product information. Over to you, Srini.
So I would continue from where we had stopped at the presentation. So I would be logging in as a buyer in this portal of ours called as RecoChain, and we would be highlighting on the smart contract functionality that we have in RecoChain. So once you log in, you would be able to go to sourcing. In there, we have something called as contract management, and this is where we would be able to create contracts. So the advantage is a contract can either be created by the buyer or the same contract can be initiated from a supplier side as well. And highlighting on the collaboration and visibility, this is a great example where the moment we create these data, it would be visible to the other key stakeholder. So in our example, so once I create a contract, key in all the details, and I can trigger it to the supplier, then the supplier gets the view all these details. So what is it that we capture from a contract perspective? First of all, there are different types of contract that we've provided in RecoChain. It could be a fixed price contract. We have lump sum contract. For an example, what we've done here is on a fixed price contract. So we have fixed price, we have lump sum, we have quantity contract, as well as maintenance contract. Based on the type of contract that is chosen, the various governance gets auto kicked in. So all that has been taken care by the system itself. The another objective that we try to emphasize here is the whole governance and validations of the contracts and the subsequent documents will all be taken care by the system itself, and the dependency on people to monitor whether my terms and conditions are all in place. When my purchase order is created, is it following what my terms is it following the new price that I've set in the contract? All that is taken care by the system. So the human intervention in respect to managing and monitoring of all this governance is completely removed in our case. So what all do we capture apart from the standard details of the contract timeline? What kind of a contract is this? It could be either goods, it could be goods and services. You can select a supplier. Even we have given an option to select a supplier with a reference to a quote, or without reference to a quote. Could be a standard, could be a reference to a project as well. So we key in all the details. We have something called as contract terms. So what are the various terms that we can set a term either at a header level or at a line level. We will show you what those are. What are the payment terms? What are the income terms? So if I go into the header terms, this is where we preset the payment flow. For example, we could state it once a purchase order has been accepted, 30% of the PO value should be dispatched. Then upon receiving the goods, 50% or issuing the goods, 50% should be dispatched. And the final invoice would be 20% of the total PO value. Those terms and conditions related to the payment would be set in here. Similarly, we've also gone to setting a schedule line. So in this example where we have an item where we've set in the quantity and what's the price, you can go in and as you could set in specific schedule lines. So you say total quantity of 90 which needs to be delivered on these specific dates. So the supplier gets to know in advance what is your requirements, how many quantities needs to be dispatched, and what are the dates that you want these items to be dispatched or received. So that details are also captured in here. Apart from that, we also have a provision to set in loans. That is, again, emphasizing on the collaboration aspect where we are not only bringing in a buyer as a supplier, we have also option to bringing in a third-party logistic company or even a bank or financial institution in here. So we give that visibility. So we will showcase how the details get triggered to a financial institution as part of that demo. And even respect to revisions. which means not just when you create a contract doesn't mean the supplier is going to immediately accept. There might be certain changes that they would request you to do. So those changes, whatever they say, will also be captured and triggered back to you for your amendments. That is provided. Any document which needs to be attached, we give that provision as well. We have something called as legal terms. This is where, in case there are additional terms and conditions which need to be put in as part of your contract, because it is actually impossible to set all that fields where, because your terms and conditions would differ from contractor from supplier to supplier, and it's impossible for us to capture all that. So what we've done is we've given a provision for you to create your own specific fields and then assign the various value for those fields. So that flexibility is given in the system. So once we've captured all these details or maintain all these details, then we can trigger this to the supplier. And one aspect is, when we talk about from a blockchain perspective, every time a transaction is either created, we create a block at the backend. Even if there is a modification which is made to a transaction, that modification is also captured in the block, which we will be showcasing. So you get clear visibility of the number of iterations that's gone in place, who has done this iteration, who is approved, when was this done. All these informations would be captured in the system, giving much more visibility and transparency across all the key stakeholders in here. So in our example here, we have a buyer who's created the contract. So once I trigger it to the supplier, that's the second stakeholder. And when I request for a loan that goes to the bank or a financial institution, that would be the third stakeholder. All of them get clear visibility on these statuses of the particular document. So what I do is, once this document is created, all I'm doing is going to send it and trigger it to the supplier. So the moment this document is triggered to the supplier, immediately the supplier gets a notification, and then they would be able to proceed with the status of this transaction. So that is what we would be showcasing as part of our solution today. So you see a contract details has been sent to the supplier. You would get a quick notification on the right. If you see a block is created in the backend, we will show you how the block is created and how it's triggered. And you'll also be able to see the statuses of each of the document, whether a contract is created, whether it's sent to the supplier, whether it's been accepted. In case any revision has been done, those information is also captured in the system. So what I do now is to give you better clarity on how the data transmitted. I'll just pass it on to Ashok, who would just log in as a supplier and show you how the order or the contract has been received.
Yeah, thank you, Srini. Yeah, so as Srini was doing the contract, I'm trying to log in as a person as part of the soft drinks company who will be able to receive the contract. So I'm a supplier. Now I'm receiving the contract. So if you see in my tile, there are two contracts, and the latest which has been done is a buyer sent. You know, the status is buyer sent, and the other one is a revised one. It's a created status. So the reason, as Srini was showing you, there were two things that comes up. One is this application as a whole, which is that this application is capable of doing multiple. This is a collaborative application, number one. The other part is you also saw that a blockchain has been updated. So no, some of your suppliers or a few of your suppliers are they might not be interested to get into the system. In case if they are not ready to get into the system, then what happens is the best part is they can connect directly to the blockchain, which will integrate and pull out all the details for you at the supplier side. And they can use their own system, update, send it back. The blockchain works as a middleware where all the APIs are predefined, which will help you to connect with the system. I mean, I'll just show you how the APIs are there. So all these APIs are available for you, ready for any of the systems that you wanted to do. It can be price list, it can be loan requests, it can be purchase order, contracts. If you want a contract, you can just select this API, and that API will be connected to your backend. So now we are going through the regular process. In this case, I can go into the details of everything, whatever that's been given, And in case I want to make a change, I can make a change where the contract goes for a revision. Or if not, I'm not going to revise anything, I can accept the data as it is, then I should be able to do it. So here there are you can give your scheduled delivery items, like every month I need to do 50 or 25. You can do all those predefined schedule lines. Or I say I can also mention my header terms as whenever the PO is released. So I'm not comfortable with 10, 30, maybe I can change it to 20 to 40% when I receive. That is also possible. So you can change the contract terms and also give that the contract terms can be changed and send it back as a revised one. So all that you are transacting is all having a trail, rather than you sending an email or taking your phone, conversing on a phone. That doesn't happen, and every change is captured into the revision. The revision will hold on to all the changes that you have done, including a document change. Here, if I wanted to add any banker, because the buyer sometimes will not be adding a banker, but I wanted to add a banker as a supplier, I should be also able to add the banker over here. So for the demo purpose, I'm just accepting it without any changes. So when I accept, the contract is established, it is created, and the blockchain is also updated. Over to you, Srini.
Thank you, Ashok. So, like you've seen, this is where we talk about the collaboration where all these data are transmitted on real-time basis. So coming back to my contract, so the moment the supplier has accepted the contract, I get a notification that the supplier has accepted the contract, and then I can proceed with my next stage. So you would see earlier the status would have been buyer sent, now it's come back as accepted. In case it has gone for revision, it would have come back as the status would have been different, saying there is an amendment, the supplier has made some comments for revision. Then it comes back to the buyer whether they want to confirm all these changes, make the changes in the system, and send it as revised, send it back to the supplier for their approval. So it works as a seamless system for the entire uh, even negotiation that it's captured within our platform itself. So once a contract's been approved, norm, here we're going to showcase as how we link it to a bank. So we are going with a loan approval process and how that gets triggered. If there is no loan approval process, then from a contract itself, you would then be able to create your purchase orders. So that is where we ensure that all your terms, conditions, your pricing, whatever are the rules and regulations that you've set at the contract level gets trickled down to all your subsequent documents. So when you create your purchase order, when you do your goods receipt or your invoice, it'll all have these roles or rules which has been predetermined that will auto govern. And the best part of all this is by just getting into a contract and you go and see your document flow, you get to see all these details: how many orders has been generated, uh, how many still pending, or how many quantities are still left. All those clarity would be there for you to see. So in our example now, let's say we have a loan request. All we do is if you want to trigger it to a banker, you would be able to see the list of bankers that you already been licensing with. You have this loan request form. You click in, then it'll ask you for a confirmation, and then there would be a request document that gets generated. So moment the request document gets generated, you would see again a block is created in the backend. So now this request would be tagged along to this particular contract, and I go to this request tab, I would be able to see those details. Uh, so in there, I would be able to see the details of my loan, what it's pending, the status of the various loan requests. Here, all I have to do is view these details, set in the contract, the value, and then we will be able to save it and trigger it to the supplier. So it is very simple, making sure there is again clear visibility on all these various stages that takes place. Once this is loan document is saved, we would be able to trigger it to the banker, and then once you trigger it to the banker, then the details gets flown to the banker, and they would be able to view the details. So what I do now is I'll now quickly hand it over to Shobna, who would be able to log in as a bank and show you the details of our transaction.
Yeah, thank you, Srini. Good morning, all. Okay, let me continue where Srini left. So I'll be logging in as a bank. So here, once the buyer or the supplier requests for loan, bank will be receiving a notification from the blockchain on the loan request. So here there are two possible scenarios. One is the bank will be receiving the notification, so where bank can log into their system and do the subsequent loan process. Or we have, as an add-on service, we have also provided a bank login, so where bank can log in to see the request and also do the other processes with respect to the loan. So here you could see the request tab. I logged in as a bank. Here you could see the request tab, so where we can see the different types of loan. So one is the contract loan, project, billing discount on the letter of credit. So here now Srini has triggered a loan for a contract. So there are two loans which are pending for approvals. The one which has been triggered by Srini is number 8, the contract number 8 from the Shakti Soft, the supplier is the Shakti soft drinks. So where it is waiting for the pending bank approval. So the bank can review the loan request. If required, the bank can go into the contract document to view the details of the contract. Again, see, all these details are, see, it is not necessary for the buyer or the supplier who requests for loan to reveal all the details. They can also, we have also given a provision to let the bank, what are the details to be shown to the bank, that provision is also there. So here we have shown the complete contract document where the bank can see all the details of their contract, and then whether it can go ahead to approve the loan or it can also reject the loan or make the buyer to submit or make the changes in the loan request and submit it again. So this is the role of the bank. Once the loan has been approved, the bank will be receiving the subsequent documents of the contract. Let it be the purchase order, delivery order invoice, or any other new invoices which has been created with respect to contract. So this is about the role of the bank. And as we have also designed a blockchain portal, which is for all the stakeholders. Yeah, this is the blockchain portal. We have designed this portal for all the stakeholders in the blockchain to see their blocks or the transactions in a meaningful format. So I am logging in as a buyer. So where the buyer can see their is blocks or the number of transactions and the chain codes and the nodes. So they can see there, and also they can see their list of transactions which has been created here. Let's see, let us go into a contract. So where you can see the last stage of the contract, you can see the contract. So once you get into a contract, as Srini said in his demo, we can see each and every changes in the contract is being created as a block or a transaction in blockchain. So here, see, this contract this is the original contract. It has undergone 3 different changes. So each and every changes has been tracked as which has been created as a transaction in the blockchain. So as we have said already, either we can go for the Recochain application or we can also take a Recochain as a service. So which means we have multiple peers. You can see the Recochain peer, buyer peer, bank, logistics, and supplier. We have created multiple peers. Each peer will be having the APIs which are relevant to their process, and so you can see the list of APIs which will be having the API numbers in the EDA format, which is understandable for all. They just need to connect their system with these APIs. All this, once they are registered to the blockchain, immediately we will be giving access to the blockchain portal. They just need to log in and get the details of the APIs. They need to connect to their system. That's all. That's all about the blockchain portal and the bank login. Now I'm passing it to Srini for the product traceability.
Thank you, Shobna. So the last part for our first to end our first demo is to quickly highlight another key functionality which is very useful, which is product traceability. I would just quickly share my screen and show you. This is again going back to Recochain portal itself, where I've logged in as a supplier, and these are the various item masters that I've maintained. And this becomes critical for a lot of industries where they closely monitor the batch and serial numbers of their item. And in case they want to do any kind of a traceability to key in a particular batch number, they would be able to see the list of where to which customers have they dispatched that item to. So in this particular item, we have given a batch, and there are various ways that you do the number generation. And all we have to do is key in a particular batch number. The moment we key in a batch number, the system, again pulling the data from the blockchain network, you'd be able to see this particular batch has been dispatched to two different delivery orders, and then it is to which customer. So this is done by just clicking or keying in your batch number. The entire details of where this item has gone to, which order number, which delivery number, to which customer, all that is visible for you at a glance. And we're showing it in the front end. It's pulled in from our backend, the blockchain network, to show this traceability. So this is all that we have for the first part of the demo. I now hand it over to Ashok to showcase the second session.
Thank you, Srini. You know, I'm not sure, like we were too fast in going through all the details. Let me quickly summarize, like what we have shown in the first demo is all about product traceability and the smart contracts on how it works on a blockchain. More importantly, what we were showing or highlighting is the way it works generally in any network or in a real-time basis, where when you execute a contract, you have multiple parties involved, and how do we provide a permission-based visibility to all, number one. And number two, how easy it is to connect to various systems on a real-time, on a faster manner. And it is also on a secure platform where it is all hash encrypted algorithms protecting all the data that you have inside, and also it is all on a scrambled manner. So this is how it has been done. And second part, what was shown was the product traceability, where it is easy for you to recall despite being involved in multiple systems. It can start from your supplier supplying to manufacturer, and your manufacturer being it a pharma company, they would be manufacturing medicines with batch numbers, and the batch numbers have been circulated to the wholesale dealers, who distributors, who in turn supply to the local pharmacies. And a consumer, I'm buying one, I know that it is a defect. So how do I trace back the entire batch which is supposed to be recalled, right? So this is an easy way to do, despite being involved in multiple systems. When I go to the blocks, the block defines where all this batch has traveled and where it is currently available, which is easy and helpful to recall the whole stuff. So this is what we saw now. The demo 2, what you're going to see is, we have a supplier who is receiving a PO, and based on the PO, what happens is we are going to do the manufacturing. Many times in today's world, we wanted to reduce the cost, and what it means is, when you are going to reduce the cost, it is like we avoid having inventory, or we keep the inventory to a minimum, or we ask the vendor to keep an inventory. It is a vendor managed inventory environment across all. That's number one. And from a supplier perspective also, it's very difficult for them to keep it, because they are going to incur cost. So they have to have visibility on when actually the manufacturing is going to start. Accordingly, I will manufacture and then supply it to the manufacturer. Here, there are too many dependencies which are very delicate. Just in case one misses out, one stage miss out, the entire operation is impacted. So how do we make sure that the impact is reduced, or the impact is absolutely zero? At the same time, I don't have any ambiguity, or the worry is going to take my health for a toss. Instead, I can comfortably sit in my office or in my work from home situation, where I will be still able to track and see all the operations of each different stage. You know, in this, what we are not only doing a blockchain based system, but we are also bringing in the RPA concept without telling that it's an RPA concept, but this RPA concept is actually automating many processes stage by stage. Number one, it also provides visibility across the what is happening at your supplier's manufacturing. My supplier is manufacturing into stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Okay, now I know that it is on time. In case if there is a delay between the planned and the actual, you get an alert. So accordingly, you can manage your inventory, you can manage your resources at your factory, that there is no impact, or you can defer that impact to a very minimum effect. You know, these are the advantages on how you do it. We just don't cover. So this gives you an advantage because your supplier can be across the globe, any location. It doesn't matter to you at all. What it matters is, yes, I have a visibility. Yes, my supplier has loaded the my particular mold, so it is in operation, and I can expect it in 20 days. So the plan is done. My supplier has loaded it into the ship, and the bill of lading has been completed. The ship has started. You know, so then I know for sure if the weather is good, my ship will reach the port of entry in 10 days. So everything is being tracked at every stage without even you doing an extra step. And all you're doing is connect the permission based data into the blockchain, that the blockchain is going to give you a beautiful data which will help you to graphically visualize what you wanted to see. With that said, you know, I'll just pass on to Shobna. She can share you and show the live system.
Thank you, Ashok. Let us start. See, what we are going to show is we have for a project we have connected the multiple systems, which will help to bring the visibility on the entire process for the buyer. So the systems which we have connected are the buyer ERP system, the vendor portal, and the supply ERP system, and the production system. So these are the three systems which are connected. Additionally, we have also developed a blockchain UI where we will be showing the report in a graphical format, in a meaningful and an understandable format. So let's say the process starts with the buyer. So here you could see the dashboard. So where we have connected 3 suppliers, and the materials of 76 materials were there. So there were 26 purchase order and the subsequent process of the purchase order. So the process starts with the PO. The buyer creates the purchase order in their ERP system. So once the purchase order is been created, immediately it is been sent to the blockchain and also to the vendor portal. So once it is received, it will be in the open status. The purchase order has been received and it is sent to the vendor portal, where the vendor acknowledges the purchase order in that portal, which are exclusively for the buyer and its related suppliers only. So once the supplier acknowledges, it comes to the blockchain portal, where the next process, the next subsequent process starts. So once the PO is acknowledged, here you could see the purchase order, the details of the purchase order, and the supplier has to go for the next process, which is the drawing request process, where the drawing request is a process which happens between the supplier technical team and the buyer R&D department. So where they don't have a system in place, so we have developed that process in the system. So all the transactions, all communications in the drawing request and the attachments has been done in the system, and each and every stages of this drawing request is being tracked in the blockchain along with the attachments. Here you could see the multiple stage types of drawing and the status of the drawing, and you could see the attachments. Everything are tracked in the blockchain system. So whenever there is any discrepancy or anything, they can just go into this and they can view the documents from the details. Their details are from the blockchain. The next to the drawing request form, we have also come up with a planning sheet which will have the planned start and end date on the against each process. The first process after PO is the drawing request form, next is the raw material purchase, next is the production, and then comes the quality check and the dispatch. Once the drawing request is created, we will plan the start and end date against the each in every process. The purpose of this process is to send a notification to the buyer on any changes in the actual start and end date. For example, this particular drawing is supposed to start on 14/12. If that the process is not started immediately, we will be sending a notification from the blockchain to the buyer that saying this process is not been started. Same way for the subsequent process. And next is the drawing request. Then comes the raw material purchase. Well, the raw material purchase is connected to the supplier system, so which is not happening in the system. It is connected to the blockchain. The supplier has raised any PO, or if he is having any subsequent, he has sufficient inventory, those details will be tracked into this system. And then it goes to the production process, where for this the supplier had two different process in the production line. So one is a segment and the other one is sidewall. So each and every stages in the production has been tracked from their production tracking system. So whenever the stages starts and ends, immediately the data will be captured into the blockchain, and whenever the buyer logs in, and they can see the real time status of that particular purchase order and its production process. And once the production process completes, it goes into the quality check process. So where they can, the multiple stages of the quality check and the respective approvers, the details attachments can also be done. These things are also tracked. If there is any delay in any of the process, immediately the admin or the buyer who have raised the purchase order will be notified, so he can take the subsequent action to make the process happen on time. So we have provided a PO tracking report from the blockchain in a meaningful format or a graphical format for the buyer to know the exact status of the purchase order. As I said, the whole entire process is tracked with the PO name, PO number. So here I will be showing three different POs of different stages. So I'm just entering a PO number. So the PO can have multiple lines. So once I give the PO number and the particular line item, here you could see it is in the dispatch process, which means it has been dispatched. The entire process has been completed. So when you go back to the previous, you can see the multiple stages in the quality inspection and what are all the stages under it. So what is the status, whether it is approved or open. So likewise, if you go into the production, it will be having multiple jobs under that. So against each job, they can see the status. You could see the plan start date, actual start date, and the plan end and actual end date. So against each process, the buyer could see the status of the product. So likewise, a raw material, drawing spec, so they can see all the status. So I will enter one more document. So here it is in the acknowledgement state, which means it is not moved to the next stage. Just PO has been created in their SAP system and it is not even moved to the vendor portal. There is also one more PO where you could see it is partially done. See, now it is in the drawing stage. It is not moved to the raw material or even the production stage. Now it is in the drawing stage. If there is any delay in the stages, immediately the person who has raised or responsible for this process can take the necessary mitigation. So in this system, we can connect multiple systems, multiple countries, the people from multiple countries, the suppliers from multiple locations. Still, we will be able to track in one repository, that is the blockchain system. Yeah, that's all
Thank
from
you,
my side.
Shub. And just to add over here in the screen, what she is showing, um, just to make it simple, this is a live system of one particular customer who is they are basically manufacturing tires. One of their major key concern was they weren't able to receive the molds on time for their production. So these are the various stages of their mold process where they procure the mold and then they start using it. So the process what you are seeing now is all done by the supplier. So it is the supplier process which is being tracked over here, where the suppliers have given their consent, be it at a drawing or at a production level, also at a QC level, and finally the logistics people have also given their consent to be a part of this supply chain blockchain network, where they give all their data on a real-time fashion. Are they supplying it manually? No, they keep continue to do the job, and whatever that they are recording into their ERP systems are being shared across to the blockchain on a permission manner, and whatever that is being tracked, what happens over here is we have converted that or deciphered that data into a sensible format for you. So this all you that you are seeing over here is a sensible data that comes out from this particular transaction. Yeah. Thank you, Shobna.
Yeah.
So that's what we wanted to showcase to you for the session today. And Shini, over to you.
Thank you, Ashok. And thank you, Shobna. We hope that uh, after spending close to an hour and witnessing two of our demos today, you would have got an understanding of how we use the blockchain technology and handle various concerns or challenges which was initially highlighted, and how the technology is helping in collaborating and providing visibility across multiple stakeholders, either be part of a common portal, which is what we a solution or which is what we showcased in Rico Chain, or use this as a service and the integration that we've done through the existing systems that the current customers are currently using. Once again, thank you all for taking time to be part of this and making it an interactive section. We have another two more upcoming webinars for next week. We've displayed it in the screens and the topics as well. So those who are interested, you could please register for these upcoming webinars. And I hear there is a question on whether there are any recordings available. So we've actually done a few series of webinars over the last 2 to 3 weeks, and all of those the recordings are available in our website. So you could go to intelligence.com, go to events, and under events, all the recordings are available. So you could view those sessions as well. And again, if you have any further queries, if you'd like to know more about our products as well as any of our solutions, you could always get in touch with us either directly at sales@intelligence.com, or you could always get in touch with our partners who have invited you to be part of these webinars. Thank you once again for your
Yeah.
participation. Have a great afternoon, and please take care of yourself.